When disaster strikes, getting the right resources to the right place at the right time is critical to protecting human lives. A high volume of resource requests can quickly overwhelm the logistics section in a local emergency operations center, or EOC. This is where the logistics center comes in. It expands the EOC's logistics capability so that resource requests can continue to be fulfilled even in the largest of disasters. This is Logistics 200, Logistics Center. My name is Susan, and I'm your Logistics Center Coordinator. I'm here to make sure you gain the knowledge and skills needed to effectively manage or coordinate resource requests in the EOC. In this course, we will cover the processes used to identify the people, facilities, and resources needed to establish a logistics center. By the end of this course, you should also be familiar with the terminology, systems, procedures, forms, and other required administrative functions so you can quickly assimilate into the resource management process. Let's talk about the physical characteristics of the Logistics Center, or LC. The location of the Logistics Center varies depending on the size and type of the incident. It may be co-located with the logistics section, or have its own space in the EOC. In some cases, it may be based at a separate facility. The whole point of an LC is to expand the capacity of the logistics section. This usually doesn't require a separate facility outside the EOC. If a jurisdiction does choose to use a separate facility for their LC, clear and consistent lines of communication must be established between the LC and the EOC. If the logistics center must be located in a separate facility, it should also be close to major roadways and public transportation, with adequate parking for staff and volunteers. In addition, the Logistics Center will need to meet all accessibility requirements in the Americans with Disabilities Act. These requirements include provisions for parking, entrances, ramps, drinking fountains, and other accommodations in the facility. Now, let's go inside the Logistics Center. This is an example layout of a Type 2 logistics center, which requires 500 to 1,300 square feet and accommodates 6 to 20 people. It is critical that the logistics center has the proper level of IT and utility support, including phones or voice-over internet protocol capabilities, access to a T1 line, DSL, cable, or wireless internet capabilities, and a reliable power source. The logistics center must also have restrooms for staff. There are also some optional but preferred characteristics of a logistics center. The example shown has the following: a conference room for briefings, a small kitchen or area where food can be served or consumed, copy machines, fax machines, and printers, and large monitor screens showing news feeds and other data regarding the incident. Take a look at this organization chart, which presents all of the key roles in a fully staffed logistics center. The Logistics Center Coordinator is required at all stages of activation and activates support roles as needed. The Logistics Center Coordinator supervises the logistics center staff and supports incident operations through resource management and movement control. Let's go over some of the other key roles. The Administration Finance Liaison assists the Logistics Center with procuring requested resources that must be purchased and/or contracted. The Special Projects Coordinator handles requests from politicians, special interest, and community groups. The Security Coordinator arranges for security assets, secured through public safety, when and where needed. The Tracking Coordinator maintains a clear operating picture for all resource requests, ensuring all requests are being sourced as appropriate. Transportation is being arranged, and mission requests are completed and sent to the next level of government as necessary. The Supervisory Dispatcher oversees the expanded dispatch desk. The Support Dispatcher oversees a team of no more than 6 dispatch recorders. The dispatch recorders use the local agency's resource ordering and tracking system to order and track resources. The Transportation Coordinator works with suppliers and requesters to provide the most efficient transportation solution. The Donations Coordinator assists in allocating and securing corporate and other donations. The RDC Coordinator serves as the main conduit of information from the Receiving and Distribution Center to the Logistics Center. When assigning workstations, staff members who work together should be seated near one another whenever possible. For example, dispatch recorders and support dispatchers should be seated near the supervisory dispatcher. The security, tracking, and transportation coordinators should also be seated near one another. Staffing levels vary with the size and complexity of the incident. Personnel may be provided by a number of various agencies and organizations, but the best source for logistics center staff is the local procurement agency or department because of their general familiarity with purchasing and acquisition protocols. Additional assistance may come from procurement or logistics specialists from other supporting agencies or organizations. The Logistics Center Coordinator is assigned by the EOC Manager or Logistics Section Chief to manage the Logistics Center and determine staffing requirements for the Logistics Center. Sometimes, the Logistics Center Coordinator may decide to combine positions or responsibilities. The number of staff members required will vary depending on the type of incident and anticipated resource needs. Resource needs, including personnel, commodities, supplies, equipment, and facilities, are identified at all operational levels and conveyed to the Logistics Center. Staff members working in the Logistics Center follow a 9-step resource management process to receive, verify, and fulfill these requests. Let's discuss each step in the process in more detail. First, the Logistics Center works with the Planning Section, EOC or Emergency Support Function coordinators, and others to anticipate the quantity and type of resources that could be required to support response and recovery operations. Logistics Center staff review existing plans or reports to identify potential resource requirements. Sources of information may include incident data from situation reports, incident action plans, damage assessments, and predictive modeling, lists of pre-identified resource needs contained in existing plans or reports, and resource requests submitted to the EOC. As the LC Coordinator anticipates which types of resources will be in high demand, they may divide the LC dispatch recorders into groups that focus on specific types of requests. Categories of common resource requests include equipment, vehicles, supplies, and personnel. In this example, the resource we'll be tracking is bottled water. Requests arrive at the Logistics Center in a variety of different ways, and requesters often contact the Logistics Center to verbally confirm receipt of the request, regardless of the method in which it was submitted. The Logistics Center tracks all requests it receives using a web-based incident management system, or IMS. When requests are not submitted directly through the IMS, they must be manually entered into the IMS. Requests may be submitted in the following ways: electronic IMS, such as eTeam, Web EOC, Knowledge Center, or DLAN, email, fax, or paper form, and telephone. If the IMS is unavailable or the request is made by telephone, Logistics Center staff members use a resource request form to record requests and manually assign tracking numbers. All requests must then be entered into the IMS once it becomes available. As requests are submitted or received at the Logistics Center, each must be assigned a priority. Priorities are set by the Incident Command or Unified Command. The Incident or Unified Command may consider the following when setting priorities: threat to life and effect on property, time frame of need, urgent, immediate, routine, or delayed, burn rate of the resource, proximity of the resource to its destination, lead time for ordering and delivering the resource, and special need, special project, or rare commodity. The Logistics Center then allocates available resources based on these priorities. All requests submitted to the Logistics Center are received by the supervisory dispatcher, who develops an ongoing plan for receipt and distribution. The supervisory dispatcher assigns prioritized requests to the appropriate dispatch recorder. The dispatch recorder then reviews the request and verifies it with the point of contact.
Hi, this is Matt from the Logistics Center. We got your request and I need to verify some things with you before we process this. You've requested 50 cases of bottled water. Is this still accurate? Are you thinking of half-liter bottles or will another size work? Okay, and each case has 24 bottles, so that's 1,200 half-liter bottles total, right? Okay, great then. We will deliver the water to Langley High School in Spring Hills by 1800 today. It will come on one pallet.
Once a request has been verified, the appropriate supervisory member of the Logistics Center team reviews the request and authorizes the appropriate dispatch recorder to begin sourcing. Sourcing begins at the local level, with dispatch recorders attempting to fulfill requests with local assets. If a request cannot be fulfilled at the local level, then the dispatcher recorder moves through the remaining sourcing options until the requested resource is located and confirmed as available. In this example, the dispatch recorder has used the local asset database to locate available stocks of bottled water in a warehouse stockpile maintained by the local emergency management agency. After coordinating with other staff, the dispatch recorder confirms the order with the warehouse. If the water was not available from a stockpile, the dispatch recorder would procure it through other means. For example, the dispatch recorder may identify a local vendor from a pre-approved procurement list. The dispatch recorder must coordinate with the admin finance section and follow the proper procurement procedures to fulfill the request. Once the resource is obtained, the dispatch recorder may contact the requester again if a substantial amount of time has passed since the request was made, to confirm that the need still exists. The dispatch recorder will then arrange for delivery by working with the LC Transportation Coordinator. The dispatch recorder and transportation coordinator determine how the resource will be transported to its intended destination, in this case, by truck. The transportation coordinator also verifies specific delivery arrangements, provides the requester with an estimated time of delivery, and confirms final delivery. Next, the water arrives at the C-Pod. The tracking coordinator monitors the status of resource requests at the LC to ensure that all approved requests are being sourced and fulfilled, while also monitoring the burn rate of consumable resources. Keep in mind that resources are tracked from the time they are received until demobilization. The final step in the resource management process is to close out resource requests and demobilize resources. Of course, demobilization doesn't apply in our example here because the water was distributed and consumed. But remember that unused, reusable, or rented resources, such as equipment and vehicles, will need to be demobilized and returned to the original source or supplier. Requesters who receive such items must notify the LC tracking coordinator when the resource is ready for demobilization. The tracking coordinator works with the LC transportation coordinator and dispatch recorders to demobilize the resource and provide the EOC Administration Finance section with any information needed for payment purposes. The tracking coordinator then provides a final update to the EOC planning section. This concludes our overview of the Logistics Center. If you have further questions, there is a lot of detailed material out there to guide you through the specifics of Logistics Center roles and operations. The Logistics Center Plan, created by the Regional Logistics Program, is one source of material which includes basic resource metrics as well as Logistics Center forms, quick sheets, checklists, and job action sheets to help guide your day-to-day Logistics Center operations. The bibliography of the Logistics Center Plan can point you to a variety of additional resources. You may also want to review the Incident Command System, National Incident Management System, and the National Response Framework. Be sure to check your local, state, and regional plans and guides as applicable. For more information on these resources and many more, visit the Regional Logistics Program website, www.emergencylogistics.org.